Hi, welcome to Talkin Business. I'm Joe Catrambone, CEO of the Stewart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure today to have Carol Howard Deese with us, who is the CEO. She is United Way, and as a matter of fact, she's been with United Way for 35 years, 36 years, and I didn't know it until I don't know why, but you're from Niagara.
Yeah, I came from close to Niagara Falls, New
Yeah.
York. Yeah.
Right. So one of the things I always ask people, because I'm curious, because Stewart's so obscure.
Yep.
So how did you end up in Martin County? Was it a job?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And it's a really weird story. So I'd been at my other United Way for 29 years, and I had said to my board then that I had helped consolidate two United Ways, and I said I'm going to give it 5 years, allow us to settle. You know, everyone trusted and knew that we wanted the best things for our community. And so after the 5 years, I said, oh, it's time for me to do something different. And so I had applied for jobs in my old area. And one of the things I'll never forget someone telling me is, you are Miss United Way, and we can't see you as anything else. Even though the jobs that I came in second, and Joe, I don't do well in second, I could have done with my hands tied behind my back. They said, we really can't see you as anything as Miss United Way because you've been doing it for so long, which I really was disappointed. And I went home and I said to my husband, I think we're going to have to move because I don't think I'll be able to get another job here. You know, as a leader, when it's time to move on to the next adventure. And, you know, I'm a person of great faith. And I said, you know, I still love doing what I do, but I just don't want to do it here anymore. So I looked on our national organization's website to see what positions were open. And wouldn't you know, Little Stewart, Florida was open. And I said, where is Stewart, Florida?
Everybody says
Yeah. And so I was like, I'll just apply. What the heck? It's
Yeah,
warm,
it's
you know.
my Palm
Yeah,
Beach.
yeah, whatever. And, you know, I made it through the first round of interviews. I made it through the Skype interview. And then they flew me down as one of the top 3 candidates for the position. And my husband came down with me, and I hadn't told my children yet at the time.
Oh.
And they were 11 and 15 at the time.
Oh,
And I said, hey, Mom and Dad are going just for a trip. We're going to see. And I was sicker than a dog during the interview, like sicker than a dog. But I took all this stuff to be good.
did you have a cold? Or
Yeah,
virus or
yeah,
something?
just really bad. And my husband drove around. It was raining the entire day that they drove me around the community, and he drove around the community. And I got back to our room, and he said, well, what do you think? And I said, I don't know. Let's not even worry about it until they offer me the job, and then we'll make the decision. I said, well, what do you think? Could you live here? He's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, I sure. So I really thought that it was just a, hey, kind of fun adventure. They flew me down, right?
Yeah, why
Got
not?
to, you know, why
Yeah.
not?
Get a little sunshine and
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
rain.
yeah, and I got rain. And so they said, hey, by Friday, or by next week, we'll be deciding, you know, who got the job. And now this was Wednesday. Friday, they called me and offered me the position.
Wow.
So they had an emergency meeting
Wow.
to get me. And I took the weekend to think it over and talk to my kids. And one of them didn't take it too well. The other one was, you know, 11 and said, Mom, whatever, as long as you're happy. I'm like, whew.
15 is difficult.
Oh, yeah, 10th
Yeah.
grade going into high
Oh,
school.
yeah.
Yeah,
All their
it was
friends
tough.
and-
Yeah, yep. And girls are really not fun at any age,
No,
but
I'm sure.
high school, it was tough for her. But
Yeah.
she's doing well now, so it's all good. It all ended up okay, and now I'm here.
So you were actually, after 5 years with United Way in Niagara, you were actually going to make a career change.
Yeah. So I
So
had,
is it, was it, I mean, was it you were just bored? Or?
I'm a what's next kind of person, right? So at the time, I had worked my way up to the CEO position in Niagara, and it was after the 5 years after I consolidated two United Ways and made it a bigger one. I was like, what's next? And the next one would have been Erie and Niagara County coming together, and our board was not interested in that. And I was like, okay, but there wasn't. I felt like I had taken the organization as far as I could, right? And so that's why I was searching for something new and exciting. And honestly, here in Martin, there's so many exciting things to work on projects to work on that, it's been 7 years and I'm still loving it.
And you've done a great job. You really have. So Niagara, New York, is it where Niagara Falls is?
Yeah, yeah.
So was that was your main tourist attraction, which ain't, that's not a slouch. I mean, that's a great, I actually went there for my honeymoon.
Did you
Second
really?
honeymoon. We went to Acapulco,
Okay.
and then a year later, we wanted to take another trip, and we went to Niagara Falls. I lived in Jersey at the time.
Nice.
Yeah. I was amazed. I mean, oh my God, it is a wonder of the world, obviously. But so, did you have other things that was it strictly Niagara Falls, or did you have other areas that you would have people go to visit?
Yeah.
Points of interest and things of that nature?
Yeah, so Niagara is known for the falls, but there are many cool things to see in Niagara. You can go to Old Fort Niagara, where the wars. They have war reenactments.
Was there. We went there.
Yeah, they have great wineries. I mean, it has now become one of the huge things that people do. They go on wine tours and all of that stuff. Many farms. In Lockport, they have the Lockport Locks, where the water closes and you go up on a boat. It's pretty cool to do. It's part of the Erie County, the canal system.
Yeah, the bar.
Yeah, yeah. So there's lots of stuff to do there.
Yeah. Great restaurants.
Oh, the food.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Well, and you wouldn't think it, but I like Italian food,
Oh,
especially.
really?
And they were great. I can't remember the name of it, but oh my God.
It was probably the Como restaurant in Niagara Falls. It's or Michael's and the Como just closed, or La Hacienda.
Well,
Little Italy is on Pine Avenue, and the Italian food was. Mwah.
that's where we were. That's where we.
Yep.
Someone told us about it, and I don't remember what the food was excellent.
Yep.
So, I mean, was it a culture shock?
Coming here.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, yes and no. Size of community pretty similar to Niagara County. Niagara County is a little bit bigger, but than Martin in terms of population. But in Martin, believe it or not, we raised more money here in Martin County than we ever did in Niagara County.
Really?
And it's different because in Niagara County we were solely reliant on workplace campaigns and corporations. Unfortunately, as time has gone on, the major corporations that were in Niagara County are gone. They used to have Occidental's headquarters there. They used to have Carborundum's headquarters there. I mean, it was the hub of a lot of these big corporations.
Yeah.
No more.
Really?
No more. They left in the 90s, early 2000s. Nabisco closed, more business forms closed. I mean, it was really difficult. That's part of the work at United Way. We raise resources to give to other programs and services. And when all these major companies were closing, our job got that much harder, which I'm always up for the challenge.
I would
right?
imagine.
Yeah, and that's not the piece that I worried about. But at some point, it gets harder and harder to raise resources, and so you have to make more changes. And so coming to Martin, what's different is half of our resources, or half of the dollars that we raise, are from individuals and philanthropists. So that's the difference, right?
Yeah, that's huge.
It is huge. So we raise more from our individual donors here in Martin County than the entire campaign where I came from.
Wow.
Yeah, which is
That's-
a tribute to the generosity in Martin County.
Absolutely it is, because I know that, it's so much easier, I would imagine. I wouldn't want to do your job, but I would imagine it's a lot easier to walk into an HR department that's 250 employees and sign up half of them to have an
Correct.
automatic, rather than how do you sort these people out? Do they come to you, or do you do your due diligence and you approach them?
All of the above. So we have a lot of people that we are very fortunate that we have individuals in different gated communities that are our champions, and they help build relationships with us and for us. Because to your point, I would love if every corporation opened their doors and said, hey, come in and talk about the needs in our community and how you can sign up for $1 a week out of your paycheck and how that can make an impact in our community. But unfortunately, Joe, that doesn't happen anymore. It's really hard. And those that we have, like, I know at the chamber you do that for us. And
Well, because you asked me. No, I appreciated that. I mean, no one ever asked before.
yeah,
You know?
and I'm very, just like at the chamber, I'm very pro. We have to support each other, and if we don't, it's hard to do business with people that aren't supporting us, right?
Oh,
That's
I
a
know.
rule at the chamber, right?
Absolutely. If you're not a member,
right,
I don't even know you're alive.
right,
No.
and no, but I feel the same, Joe. That
Yeah.
we all need to be supporting each other. So I wish more people would understand that all the dollars raised stay local. Unless somebody says, hey, send it to here, we have no control over
Right,
that.
people have a choice to
They
do
do
that,
have a
right.
choice, and people do make, that option of, especially some of the people that live in Martin County, they only live here 6, 7 months out of the year, and they have another community that they also, is maybe their hometown where they grew up, right? They want part of their gift to go there, so we do honor that, right? But the reality is, we are a national, global organization that works independently and local. It's kind of like a franchise, right? So we have the great recognition, but we are locally owned and operated. I report to 21 board members. Yikes.
Isn't that fun?
I know. Ugh.
I got 25.
I know. 20, I had 24. We got rid of, oh no, I'm kidding. We went down to 21. But I report to these individuals. And they're made up of our community, business leaders, philanthropists, physicians, attorneys, we have them all, so.
So many people don't know, and I just explained it to someone not too long ago. So many people don't understand that, if I recall, I don't direct my funds,
No, you do not,
Okay.
thank you.
but so many people don't understand. They say, well, I already give the Little League. Well, you can tell United Way where you want your donations or where you want your money. And so many people don't get that. They don't understand it.
Well, and the hard part is this, right? So I'm going to say it just like this is my new way of explaining it the best way, in my opinion. We all only have so much money we can give, right? I wish everybody could give, as much as they could, but the reality is we all have a budget. So say your budget is $1,000 to give to charity. Or you had, and in comparison, you also had $1,000 you wanted to save and put into investments. Look at the two as the same. So if the 1,000 that you're putting in investments, you wouldn't put it in one stock. You would probably put it in a mutual fund that has spread its wings a little bit more diversity and whatnot, and so that you're not exposed as much. It's the same thing with your charitable giving. If you give it to United Way, we are funding 44 different programs. We are touching 32 different agencies within those programs. Yes, you may love, I'll pick on Rob. If you watch this, I'm picking on House of Hope. You may love House of Hope, right? And you think they are the be-all, end-all. And I'm not saying they're not. But what I am saying...
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they are pretty good. What I am saying is Rob is not going to help when it comes to if there's a domestic violence situation happening.
Gotcha.
It's not his agency that's going to step in. It's
Right.
going to be safe space,
Yep.
right? Or if there's a child with disabilities. He is not going to be there, and I'm not picking on Rob. I hope everyone understands what I'm trying to say, is that there is not one organization in our
That
community
can do it all.
that can do it all.
There's no one.
No, and to be honest, United Way can't either. But we take the most critical needs in our community and we focus on those to try to make the impact. And that's the organizations that receive funding from us.
So tell us how you choose the recipients of the United Fundways. A lot of people ask that question.
Oh, they do, and they think that it's me.
Yeah, I know they do.
And it's not.
That's why I'm asking
Yeah,
you
yeah.
that.
No. So we have a committee called the Citizens Review Committee. It's represented from people across our community. It's usually about 60 individuals that review all the program applications that we receive, and then they determine, is the organization and the program that's asking for the funding, is it worthy of a United Way investment? Do they have measurable outcomes? Do they have balanced budgets? all of these things. They go on a site review. They actually go and see the program in action, and it's from their recommendations. It goes from them to our fund distribution, from our fund distribution to our board to make the final say. But honestly, I wish I had control because,
Yeah.
you know us control freaks, so.
Yeah. So if, you just said it, there's a criteria.
Yep.
So if Joe Blow and his wife started a non-for-profit or a charity
Mm-hmm.
to help remove anthills.
Yep.
Whatever.
And there might be one of those in Martin. No, I'm kidding.
So they come, how does that process work?
So in January, we open up the process to those organizations that have not received funding in the previous year for the program application, and it's called a letter of intent. And they send us a brief description of what they're trying to do, what their measurable outcomes are, and if they've been in business for 2 years. And we have that criteria because we've had organizations that have come to us that are in their infancy, and a year later they're closed. So we want to make sure that at least 2 years in of operations and service, so that we know what their goals and outcomes are. And so once that happens, that LOI goes to our fund distribution committee, and they say yes or no of whether we open up the portal to allow them to apply for funding. And again, that's in January, and then in March is when the final application is due, and then the volunteers get involved even more.
So how many organizations typically do you fund in a year?
So it's 44 programs,
44.
but 32 organizations run those programs. So I'll pick on you again, Rob, House of Hope. We fund 3 or 4 different programs there. I think it's 4. We fund 4
Okay.
programs there. So an agency can get multiple program funding.
To have different programs, you can
Correct.
get each funding
Correct.
for each program.
Correct.
Is there, and I hope this you don't think this is unfair, I don't mean it to be, are there automatics? I mean,
Not really. So let
but
me
they
tell
have
you.
to apply
They have to
every
apply
year?
like everyone else. And let me tell you, when I first came, we defunded like 3 different programs and organizations in my
Wow.
first year. And I said to the committee, thanks a lot. Because
Yeah,
I'm going to get the heat. Not all of you. Like it's all good when they get the money, but when they don't, who do they call? And we actually, right before I got here, the decision was made to cut one of our providers by like $25,000. And, the director was mad at me, and I said, wait, I just got here in July. That decision was made before I even came to Florida. But yeah, so when people think it's a guarantee, it is not. 100% is not. I mean, there are some that are just that good that they
That's
do
what I
really
meant by
well.
automatic.
Yeah.
You know they've got a
If
track
they have
record, they've got a
yes,
history.
Yes, and
so
it's a
that-
quality program, right? We want to make sure basic needs are covered.
But that's interesting that someone that let's take Rob. We know
Yes.
what type of an organization he
Yes.
runs. But
Has
it's not
to
automatic. He's
nope.
got to apply every year.
Every year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you know what? I have tried to say, hey, for organizations like Rob's or like Project Lift, we know they're good. Let's put them on a 3-year, we make a commitment to them. And what the pushback I've received from volunteers is every year we expose new people to these quality programs. Why would we not want to show people in our community what's happening in their backyard? Because we get new volunteers, almost every year. We do for the citizens review process. So if you've never known or seen anything at House of Hope or Project Lift, or the Salvation Army or at the Alzheimer's place, if you've never seen it, if they were on that 3-year cycle, you wouldn't expose people to these great quality programs that they may need themselves.
Yeah, so
right?
I would think Salvation Army's a done deal.
Yeah.
You know,
But you know what? There are people that don't know that they have Compassion House where they house women and children, and how they make women work and budget. And I mean, it's amazing. And then you meet the client. You want to cry? You go to one of those meetings.
yeah, it's and so many people don't know that. Is it privacy that you don't go on and talk about places where abused women couldn't go, or is it a privacy thing? Is it?
I mean, you can't just go off the streets because it's really for protection and security for the women and children that
Yeah,
were at that
yeah,
one, right?
like a safe house
Yeah,
and-
yeah, yeah, for the safe house.
Right.
But I mean, people can learn about it if they want to. It's just a lot of times you don't really want to know until it's something that maybe you need for your family, a friend, somebody calls you. So until you need the service, a lot of times people are oblivious that it even exists, right? And so
They are.
it happens all the
Most
time.
people are.
Oh, 100%. Yep.
I would think the majority of people,
Yep.
even people who have a propensity towards giving to,
Yep.
like United Way, because
Yep.
I don't know where my contribution is going, and it doesn't matter to me. I just, because I know that your organization, the history of and your reputation, that you're putting in places that really need it.
Yes.
So, on that note, what kind of a change do you have annually? Do you bring in new ones, or typically would you bring in two or three, or half a dozen, or one?
So, the past few years, we've probably averaged between 3 and 5 new programs. I can also tell you we've dropped a couple programs.
I was going to ask you
Yeah.
that. So, is there a limit on how many you'll fund?
No, there isn't a limit, but so this is a crazy thought. We are just now gearing up to start our strategic plan, our new strategic plan, because our other one went out the window when COVID happened, because everything we were measuring no longer you could measure. But there's some thought on, we fund 44 different programs. If we targeted and put more money in a specific area, as you know, we invest in education, financial stability, and health. Those are the kinds of programs that we invest in. What if we funded more, and I pick on this one the easiest because people understand it, on kindergarten readiness? What if we focused and spent more dollars in that area? That would help kindergarten readiness, it would help third grade reading levels, it would help employers for the future because kids will stay in school. There was a study done by the Federal Reserve that they followed children for 40 years.
That's our future.
Yeah. But to get people to understand that kindergarten readiness, Joe, when I went to kindergarten, you needed to know how to tie your shoe, right? Is that it? And I think, and you
And
took
your
a nap.
colors.
Yeah. Now they need to almost be reading. And it's a lot on our little people. And as your community changes, our community has been changing the demographics. When English is a second language in a household, it makes it tough when they start kindergarten if they don't know, if they can barely speak English because they're
Yeah,
not
I
speaking
can-
English at home, right? It came full circle for me just the other day. I was talking to somebody about when I grew up, my parents immigrated here from the Netherlands. They spoke Dutch a lot, broken English. I mean, English was their second
My
language.
grandparents.
Okay,
was
so
like
you
that.
understand, right? I was never corrected as a child on my grammar. There are certain words I stumble over. Because I look at it in my head, I think I know it, but I can't. It doesn't come out right, right? Like theologian. I couldn't say that the other night. I was talking to something, and I was like, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Until I hear it multiple times,
Yeah.
I have to know it. And you'd think with the amount of public speaking I do and whatnot, that I can say a lot of things. There are some words, if I'm reading it, I stumble over it and I'm like, Mom, Dad. But so I know in my own life that it has affected how I am.
Yeah.
So imagine the children today that their parents don't speak any English at all. They're the only ones speaking
And
English.
I've seen them in
You've-
Publix.
You see them all the time.
Yeah, speaking for their parents.
Correct. And they're little.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned, my grandparents lived with us, and they were Italian immigrants. And I spoke Italian before I spoke English.
Right.
My mother was really concerned when I went to kindergarten because I communicated with them in Italian.
Yep.
Now I did, obviously, my mother and father, I spoke English, we didn't speak Italian, but my mother, I would get words confused.
Yep. Yep.
And now
Do you know any Italian now?
some,
I know it's like me and Dutch.
No.
I'm like,
Barb always said, give him a few drinks, he can talk Italian.
It's interesting how it comes back though, because
Yeah.
this woman started speaking Dutch to me, and I could catch every other word or whatever, and I'm like, I bet you if you took me to Holland and kept me there, it would come back real quick. But I couldn't read or write it.
No,
Right?
I never could.
Right. And so my parents spoke Dutch, so we didn't understand, when they were talking about things they didn't want us to understand.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
yeah.
my aunts used to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And which is why
But-
we learned it, right?
yeah.
The language, and you're
Exactly.
like, okay, but anyway.
So it was interesting though because I hadn't even thought about talking Italian for years. The first time Barb and I went to Italy, and we were in a hotel, and it's amazing how things come back. Like this isn't an easy word. Window in Italian is finestra, so it's not like an easy word.
Right, right,
But
right.
Barb said, "Can you open a window?" And I got to the window and I said, "Finestra." So it was,
It's there.
yeah, I mean, if I spent some time there, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't probably speak the perfect English. Italian. I probably never did, but it was interesting how things would come back. And then we would get on a bus in the morning in Rome, and Barb would go, "Oh, buongiorno." Well, all of a sudden, they think she could talk Italian. That's about all she knew, except the bad words.
Oh yeah, of course. That we knew that for sure.
Yeah.
Good times. And so think about bringing it back. We had supportive parents that did eventually learn our know our language, all of that. It's just really tough for our kiddos, right? And so we do invest in this one program. It's a kindergarten readiness camp, which who could believe that, right? It's a month-long, intense, prior to them starting kindergarten. There's about 100 kids that are identified from the school district that we fund this program. 88%, almost 90% of the kids are kindergarten ready by the time they go through this program. And it's
Wow.
only a month long.
Wow.
And if you think about
They're like sponges.
they are. So if there's 1,000 kids starting kindergarten and 57% or 570 are ready, you've got 430 that aren't. We've hit 100 of them. So what if we had 2 kindergarten readiness camps so that we can? Do you see where I'm going with this?
Oh,
Like
absolutely,
maybe
I
we
do, yes.
focus more on that area, and then in 3 years when they're in 3rd grade,
That's
see if
the
they're
foundation.
reading. Correct.
I mean,
Correct.
that's the.
Yep. Yep.
Talking about you want something with your phone, give it to a 4-year-old.
Oh, I know. They know more than we do. That's for sure.
It's amazing. Why?
Well, because
They're
because
not
as parents,
intimidated.
no, as parents, their parents give them the
It's
phone.
a toy.
It's a toy, which is part of the problem about communication. We
Yeah.
won't get into that, Joe, because it'll be a long
I'm
talk.
with you. Though. I'm with you. Is this something you wanted to talk about?
Yeah. So really quickly, the United Way also beyond funding programs, we do have a program where we're the local
He's giving me
coordinating.
this.
I know we're the local coordinating organization for Toys for Tots in Martin County, and we have a holiday project that we call. It used to be called White Doves. We now call it United Way Holiday Project. Last year, we helped 768 families to provide Christmas for their families. Now, what I say by that is there are organizations that give toys to kids, and that's cool. Our program is to allow parents to provide Christmas memories for their family. So the kids get toys, they get balls, they get all kinds of stuff, and then we provide a holiday meal for them. And the parents go shopping and pick out the things that they want for their children.
Oh,
there are
nice.
no
Oh,
kids
that's-
allowed. There are no kids allowed.
Nice.
Only the parents or guardian or whatever. They do all the shopping while the kids are still in school. We have 2 days of it, and this year already we're going to close our portal real soon here. We're over 900 families that have applied for assistance.
Wow.
And we get our families from the school district. They're our referral agency. Who knows the kids better and the families in the school
Absolutely.
district?
Yeah, I always wondered.
Yeah, we don't pick them.
Yeah.
School district and some select other organizations. We check our list just like Santa with the Salvation Army and House of Hope, so we're not duplicating efforts. And I wish other providers that they're doing this kind of work would share their list with us. We don't want to take over their programs. We just want to make sure that families are being served and they're only being served once. That's all. So if people see collection boxes in Martin County with
We have one in our
yes,
office.
you do.
Yeah.
Toys for Tots boxes. That really is the partnership with United Way, and that is all the toys that we receive from there fuel our program. And we've had more demand this year, so I hope
Well, you
people
all
can
have a
help us.
wonderful organization, and you do a
Thank
great
you.
job.
Thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you.
visiting with me.
Thank you.
And have great holidays.
Hey, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.